everyone, I'm Marina from the Firebase team. In this video, I'm going to cover how to get started with signing with Google in your Android app using Firebase Authentication and Credential Manager. All of the code you're going to see in this video is part of a note-taking app that I built with Jetpack Compose, and it's available on GitHub. The link to the repository is available in the description below. But before we dive into the code, there are some concepts that are important for you to know, like what Credential Manager and Firebase Authentication are, how you can combine them to allow users to sign in with their Google accounts with just one click, and what are the different authentication flows that you can have in your app when authenticating users with signing with Google. After learning about these concepts, you'll be ready to dive into the code with me. So let's get started by getting familiarized with the sample app. This is the sample app I'm going to use, and it's called Notes. All notes created by the user are stored in Cloud Firestore and displayed on the main screen, as you can see here. Users can also click on each note that they've created so that they can read, update, or delete it. Once users decide to sign in or create an account, they can do so by navigating to the app's Account Center. Here in this screen, you can see the user's info with some basic profile information. And down here, because the user is a guest user at this moment, they can click on the Authenticate button to open the sign-in screen. At the moment, users can sign in with either email and password or Google accounts. After users are properly authenticated, the app will take them back to the home screen where they can see their notes. And now that you know the sample app, let's start implementing the Sign In with Google feature together. If you're new to Firebase and this is your first time trying Firebase Authentication, I recommend watching the video Getting Started with Firebase Authentication on Android. The steps and code shown on that video are necessary so you can run all the steps that I'm going to show you today. Now, let's start by enabling the Sign In with Google authentication method in the Firebase console. Click on Authentication in the side menu, then Signing Method. For the Notes app, I'm already using these methods you see here. So I'll go ahead and click on Add New Provider, then select Google. Here in the configuration window, you'll see this message saying that in order to enable signing with Google for your Android apps, you must provide the SHA-1 release fingerprint for each app. This is a unique 20-byte identifier generated from the certificate used to sign the app. Once you provide the SHA-1 of your signing certificate, Firebase can create an Auth 2 client for your app. And if you've published your app using Play App Signing, you can get your SHA-1 from the Google Play console on the App Integrity page. I've added a link with the instructions in the video description. As the Notes app is still not using Play App Signing, I'll be using the Debug Key Store SHA-1 from Android Studio. A quick way to do that is to open your project in Android Studio. Then click on the Gradle tab on the right-hand side, then double-click on Signing Report. This is the equivalent of running Gradle Signing Report on the terminal. The SHA-1 fingerprint will be displayed right here, so you can copy that and go back to the Firebase console. Now open your project settings, scroll down to the Your App section, and find your Android app. Then click Add Fingerprint and paste the SHA-1 you just copied from Android Studio. Now go back to the authentication page to add Google as a signing provider. Once you toggle the Enable button, you'll see these two new fields. The first one allows you to choose a public-facing name for your project. This will be the name presented to users when they are shown any public instances of your project. For example, this will be the name displayed on emails that your users received after creating an account with your app. You also need to select a support email for this project. This is the email address users should reach out to if they need help with their account in your app. And once you add this info, you can hit Save. Next, download the updated Google Services file, which now contains the OAuth client information required for signing with Google. Don't forget to move this updated config file into the app-level root directory of your app, replacing the now outdated corresponding config file. And make sure this new config file isn't appended with anything. It should be named google-services.json, not any variant of that. And now you're ready to start coding. So let's start with adding the dependencies to the app-level Gradle file. First, add the Google Play Services SDK. Then, add the Credential Manager dependencies using the latest version. Next, get ready for production by adding the Play Services classes to your ProGuard file. To do so, open your module's ProGuard rules file and add this directive. And now you're ready to work on the Credential Manager UI. There are two separate authentication flows that you need to be aware of when you use the Credential Manager API to show users the Google accounts available for authentication. The main bottom sheet flow for Credential Manager UI is automatically shown when the sign-in screen opens. Separately, you can display a dedicated Sign In with Google button flow when the user explicitly clicks the Sign In with Google button in your app. Each flow creates different requests with different configurations under the hood. To understand the difference between these flows and how you can configure each of them, watch the video Sign In with Google Flows with Credential Manager and Firebase Auth. And if you want to check these different configurations in the Notes app, you can navigate to the Credentials extension file. Once you've configured your request and retrieved the user's credentials using the Credential Manager API, you need to run a few extra steps before you can call the Firebase Auth API. So first, you need to check if the credential is of the type Google ID token credential. And if this is true, you can use this credential to create an ID token by running Google ID token credential create from. Next, you need to take this ID token and create a credential object using one of Firebase's OAuth providers. In this case, you can do so by running Google Auth provider getCredential. And finally, you can use this credential object to sign into Firebase by running Firebase Auth sign in with credential. And that's it. From now on, your users will be able to use their Google accounts to quickly sign into your app. But there's one more thing I want to talk about before we can run the Notes app and test this feature, and it's called anonymous authentication. Firebase's anonymous authentication allows you to create a guest account for your users without requiring them to sign up in your app. Then, if they like your app and want to upgrade their account, they can sign up with their Google account using account linking, and all their previous data tied to the anonymous account are now accessible to the newly linked Google account. If you're still new to account linking, I highly recommend watching this video where Rachel explains how anonymous authentication and account linking work, and how you can get started with this authentication method on your Android app. That said, you will notice that there's a sign up screen in the Notes app with a Sign Up with Google button. The flow on this screen is the same as in the sign-in screen. Users will choose what Google accounts they want to use, and you'll create a credential object from that ID token. The only difference is, instead of running Sign In with Credential, what you will do is get the current anonymous user and link their account with the newly created credential object. And you can do so by running this code that you see on the screen. And that's it. Now let's run the Notes app and test the authentication flows together. So this is the main screen of the app, where I can create notes. In order to sign in with my Google account, I need to navigate to the app's account center and click on Authenticate. This takes me to the sign-in screen where I can see the Credential Manager UI with all my available Google accounts and choose which one I want to use. Done! And now I'm back on the Notes page. So I'll go ahead and create a short note and save it. Now, if I want to sign out of the app at any time, I can just navigate back to the Account Center and click on the Sign Out button, right here. See? I'm back on the Notes page and my note's not being displayed anymore. So let me go back to the Account Center and test the second flow we discussed in this video, using the Sign In with Google button. And once again, the Credential Manager UI is automatically triggered when I navigate to the sign-in screen. Let's say I dismiss the dialog. I can still click on the Sign In with Google button, and here it is. I can see my Google account again. Let me click on it. Done. Back on the Notes page, and I can see my note again. And that's how you implement authentication with Google on your Android app using Firebase Authentication and Credential Manager. But as you saw in this video, you can add many other signing methods to your Firebase project and app. So if you're interested in learning about these other signing methods and how to use other Firebase services in your Android app, subscribe to the Firebase YouTube channel and check out the other videos in the Firebase Fundamentals series. And that's all I had for today. Thanks for watching and happy coding!